Every mom gets there once a day, more than once a day, that time and place where you reach the end of your rope. Frustration is high, patience is low, and you're on the verge of losing it just a little. My next guest has a thought pattern that will help back yourself out of that corner. In fact, the ability to talk yourself out of a mom meltdown is an important skill that Studio 5 parenting contributor Heather Johnson is excited to put in our hands, and I'm excited to receive. Just for fun, should we start off on a personal place?
Oh, why not?
Let me just take us back about a week ago. It was 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon, you know, because p.m. happens in the afternoon, and it was right before dinner when like it starts to get a little tense, and I decided that was a great time just to overturn my clean laundry basket in the middle of the living room and start folding, because why not? No better time, right?
Perfect.
The 1-year-old entertaining himself in the Tupperware drawer, that quickly escalated and got pretty aggressive with Tupperware lids flying. This is all happening in a matter of minutes. The 3-year-old decided to hurl her crayon box at the wall. That resulted in a quick timeout, during which she totally lost her potty training streak on my vintage green couch. All in the matter of 3 minutes. So I was there. I was on the edge.
Vintage. Vintage is the key word here. Vintage.
That's what we're talking about. Do you want to just make me feel better?
Yeah, well, you know, no, I don't know how to make me feel better. You know, for me, this option to have a meltdown or not happens when every aspect of my life calls at the same time.
Yes.
In the same, like, 15 seconds. I consider our kids like big and little. So when big kids need something, little kids need something, church needs something, my husband needs something, I need something, or I'm already behind. Work needs something. In that moment of those 15 seconds, I get to go, do I want to lose it or do I want to keep it together? Like that's for me, all the phone calls, all the needs at the same time.
And you say no matter where or when this mommy meltdown or potential meltdown is approaching, it's not about the facts of the moment, it's our interpretation of those facts.
Absolutely. And that's the very first thing that we want to understand with kind of what we're doing today. We've got to understand that it isn't about the data. It isn't about the data that we have. Data is neutral. It is completely neutral until we assign it a weight, positive or negative. So that means all those things that you just described in your house, they're just things. Crayons just fell out of a box. Laundry was in the middle of the floor. Someone had an accident. That's it. It's just information until you decided that it was either too much or all at the same time or annoying or put you out or you had to clean something up.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Same with me. When everybody calls at the same time with a need in the same 15 seconds, I'm the one that gets to decide. Really, it's just 6, 7 in our house saying words at the same time.
Just 6 or 7.
That's it. It's just, I didn't include my husband.
It's just a vintage couch. It's just a 6 or 7.
And that's the thing. It's just words coming towards me or starting with mom or sweetheart at the same time. That's it. At the same time that a phone might be ringing and I'm reading an email and something else. It's just simply information.
Okay, all right.
So we're going to keep that in place. First and foremost, it's just information.
And that's where this brain pattern starts. And you say there's a sequence of events. Let's walk over. You're going to show us that we can talk ourselves through in those moments to help talk us down, basically.
Absolutely. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to give you some data.
Okay.
Some information, if we'll put it up here, and I want you to tell me how the data makes you feel.
Okay, all right.
So if I give you some data, I'm going to give you blue sky, 78 degrees, and a beach. Close.
I'm going to say amazing. Sounds great, and I'm really thrilled about it.
Really thrilled. Okay, so let's take those feelings, and if we kind of adapt those, if we show you what those feelings might be, you said amazing. Naturally, to mind, that data promotes happiness.
Yes.
I'm excited. That data for me gives me some relief, ironically enough, which we can talk about in a minute. But we now have feelings attached to this data. Now, if we can put those feelings up here, happy, carefree, you said amazed, excited, relieved. The fact of the matter is there is zero evidence anywhere that proves that 78 degrees equals happiness.
Okay.
None.
Okay.
There is also no data or no evidence, that shows that the beach means relief.
That's how we've just assigned it in our head.
It's exactly right. So the very first thing after we recognize that data is neutral is I want you to see that the only reason that we feel the way we do is because of the interpretation we make in this middle space and the story we tell ourselves about it.
And that's how you define interpretation, are those self-telling stories.
It's exactly right. So think for a second, how come this data led you to feel amazing?
Because every summer my family vacations to Newport Beach.
Okay.
And for us, that's the highlight of the year.
Sure.
And I look forward to it with great anticipation.
That's exactly right. So do you see, that's the interpretation you made of this information.
Right.
And as a result, the story you told yourself about it, that's what led to the feelings. Feelings do not exist until we've interpreted and deciphered and storied about them. They don't just show up magic. So feeling overwhelmed or like we're gonna have a meltdown doesn't just magically appear in our bodies or our brains. It's a result of what we did right here. That's why we feel like we're gonna melt down.
But this happens fast. I mean, this can blow up essentially.
Like negative seconds.
Yeah.
Negative seconds, right? And for a different time when we learn to pause to manage it, today we gotta focus on what the interpretation is. So let me give you the exact same data, and I actually want you to make a different interpretation. Okay. So the data remains the same. Blue sky, 78 degrees, still a beach close by. And instead, I want you to feel annoyed, frustrated, and bummed out.
You want me to make up a scenario around that?
I want you to tell me the interpretation to feel those things.
The beach is hard with babies.
Okay.
I've learned that. Sand gets everywhere. Itchy, scratchy. Children trying to run into rushing waves. Is that where you're going?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
So you might feel a little frustrated about a beach instead of happy, excited, and relieved about a beach, right? Maybe you live close to the beach and you have to work inside all day. So you can see this data, but in your mind, you've interpreted it as something you can't ever have because you have to work inside every single day.
Okay.
Right? Do you see? Now, nothing changed. This data remained constant. Nothing changed here. 7 people talking to me at the same time, while church, while work, while this, that stayed the same.
But the stories you spun around it
change how I feel on the other end.
We can have the positive, happy, carefree, excited, or we can be annoyed, frustrated, and bummed out.
It's exactly right. So here's the next thing. We tend to create interpretations based on fears, based on anxieties, also based on experiences and emotions, which is history, memories. So you're gonna be in this place where all of a sudden you had a memory, that memory affected your interpretation, which affected your feelings. Right? So there's got to be a place. So for example, when everybody calls on me at the same time, I tend to hear a story, if I'm not careful, that I have to do it all alone. For whatever reason, however I've gotten to that place in my life, there's often a feeling when everybody comes at me at the same time and I immediately think, I got to figure all this out by myself.
Right.
Okay, that becomes a filter. All information then passes through that filter, which is naturally going to affect how I feel on the other side.
Your reaction.
Yes. So understand that if I feel like I have to manage all of that all by myself, the only outcome is meltdown. That's the only thing.
The result.
But that is the result.
Based on the story.
But that's the story I told myself. Now here's the fact of the matter. I don't have to do it all alone. But I actually can't see that when I'm focused on this negative interpretation. I can't see that I have a husband and amazing kids and people in the neighborhood and parents close by, and I can't see any of those things because this filter, this lens, has tainted the data in a certain way.
Where does the value attachment come into play?
So instead of allowing these things to affect our interpretation, we need our values and our belief system to be the thing that controls our interpretation. Right? Me believing that I have to do it all alone, or for women, we tend to have a feeling, a story we tell ourselves that we're not enough. It's common across the board. And so when data comes in, we hear I'm not enough, that filter then leads us to feel certain ways on the other end. Well, I'm not enough, that actually goes against my entire belief system, for me personally. That goes against all the values I believe in. I know that that's not true. I don't believe it to be true. But when I interpret this data that way, through that filter, now I feel like it is.
I like this, Heather.
So this value system has got to control how we make those interpretations. Instead of our fears and insecurities or the memories and experience taking over in ways that taint our ability to stop long enough and realize, wait, I'm actually making up this story.
So this is it. This is the key to avoiding those mom meltdown
Absolutely.
moments.
And the quicker we can get to that space and recognize the stories we're telling ourselves and how they're repeated, those negative ones, the quicker we can pause long enough to stop that. I don't need to have a meltdown if I don't have to do it all by myself.
Or if I know that I am enough.
Or if I know that I am enough. There isn't a need for the meltdown on the other side.
I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this. Who cares about that vintage green couch?
Who cares about the vintage green couch?
I like this. If this was helpful for you too, we're going to post this on our website. Heather, as always, thank you. Heather has a private practice. She helps families and couples. You can link over to her contact information from our website.